Hey guys, working this 2004 Matt Kenseth Carbsmart one a day car that he drove in the Busch series in 2000. I think I said 2004 already. Yeah, but he drove it at California. And working this car is a custom request. It's basically, let's see, what was this? Yeah, it was this Granger, Greg Biffle 2003 car. And put it together. It's pretty straightforward. It's a heavy car. This is all metal here. It's not this this cheaper plastic that we see today. But it's got the metal. It's got actual, feels like rubber tires. They're not plastic. But it's a pretty heavy piece. It's a nice car, nice die cast at the end of the day for a Busch series car. I painted it this Rust-Oleum gloss marigold, which is a deep yellow, and it's just interesting how many different shades of yellow NASCAR drivers, and how many cars I make that are just different shades of yellow. It's pretty interesting. But this car is fairly straightforward at the end of the day. I've already got, of course, the 17. That's usually the first thing I put on is the roof number. I had pre-painted the cowl, I think in my other video, and then I applied this decal across the hood. It's this one a day, and I'm real happy with the way it came out. It doesn't always come out this way, but I'm real happy with the way it came out. It's a little bit big compared to the actual metal die-cast body, but basically I let it sit in the water a good amount. I put it on and worked it in with my fingers. And when I say worked it in, excuse me, I just had some sesame seeds or sunflower seeds in there drying up my mouth. This around here is where I really try to go after, right? Of course I want to get it centered over the die-cast body up against the cowl where it needs to be. But I want it to wrap over these hood pins nicely. And again, I don't know how well you can see that in the video. I'll try to keep my hand still. Move a little bit closer, a different angle here with the lighting. But this came out almost perfect. You can see there's no like bubbles or ridges around those hood pins, and it flows through real nicely. And the trick was to use, I just used water here the first time, and then as I pressed it in, I was having a little bit of the ridges, and I got a little bit of this microsole, just a little bit on my brush, and I brushed it over top of these hood pins, and that immediately softens the decal. And so I carefully work my fingers into it and press it in, and get all of the water out, all of the decal, now that it's soft, to compress over top of those hood pins. And yeah, that's my goal right there. Every time I make a car that covers up those hood pins, or on the trunk to cover up those hood pins, I try to get it to look like that. Not always successful, but that's the goal. The other thing I wanted to show you, and I'm going to put these decals on in a minute. They've been sitting in the water for a few minutes. The decal, or the car, is black along the bottom here. I've already painted that silver. I'll have the other problem that I have on the other Janiking I was working with, this little fuel overflow thing that sticks out. I've got to stick the tail light decal over top of that. I've got to work that. I've already painted the spoiler here. I didn't do that on the other car. But if you can see here, when I snap these plastic pieces back in, and you see what it did there? Right here. And all I have on this is one coat of primer, and actually I think I was going to say one coat of the base, but I actually have two coats now that I think about it. I have two coats of the base marigold, and it was just a little much, and when this plastic piece went to snap in, it popped that paint off right there. So I'm going to have to do a little cleanup and go back over here and spray a little bit on a plate and get a toothpick or a small brush and just kind of brush that over so I cover that up before I put the decals on it. So, that's sometimes you have to do that with a car. If the paint's a little heavy, it will chip that. So, and that's a pain. Here, let me show you what this car looks like. I don't have too many pictures of it. Actually, all I've got is really this one here of the actual car on the track. So he drove this at California. As you can see, it says the Stater Brothers 300. And you can see how I've got to layer this on, right? So you got this piece here, but I've got these little, I don't know, I guess they're burgundy. These stripes that go on. So I got to put that stripe on first, this burgundy one, and then I can layer this Taurus decal over top of that. So I want to get that on first. This black ridge along the bottom, I'm not sure if I'm going to use the decal or actually paint that. And then what's funny is I've got, this is some pictures of a car that I had made and sold on eBay a few years ago of what it looks like. So that's kind of what I'm going after, which was what I was going after here. And since it looks like I did a pretty good job, I'm gonna use these as well to kind of just guide me as I go through it, because I don't see any other pictures of this. I haven't watched, at least I don't recall watching the race to actually get pictures of the car other than this one itself. So yeah, and so I've got a couple of those that I've moved over to me putting clear sealer on it. I've got these cars pretty much ready to go. And I've got these other ones. I've got a lot of work that I'm working on right now. Just a word before I get back to this Carbsmart car. So these, I've shared with you before my disdain for any gloss white paint. Again, I don't know what is up with Krylon, Rust-Oleum, Testors, Model Masters, but all of the white paint that I use, it just doesn't turn out well. It just doesn't. I don't like it at all. So what I've gotten into using, I would say probably like the last 2 or 3 years, is I just use this Rust-Oleum flat white primer, and I put 2 coats of it on, and then that's it. So this is 2 coats of the flat white primer before I put the decals on. And I think I got asked this question before, but sometimes what I do before I decal a car is I will apply, and that's the big bottle that I have of this Pledge floor care, which I've transferred it into this small bottle so I can use it a little bit, dispense it a little bit easier. But I will put 1 or 2 coats of the clear sealer on top of this flat paint to give it that gloss before I apply the decals. And again, this is it's not rocket science, it's lessons learned, right? I applied decals to a flat paint before, and you could see the decal a little bit easier. It stood out a little bit more, like the edges of the decal on the flat surface, and it didn't look as good as when I applied clear sealer. So these two don't have clear sealer. I've already put 1 coat of clear sealer on these 2, and you can see it just a little glossier. And I'll probably apply 1 more coat before I actually apply the decals. So that's just a technique that I've learned to use. Again, I don't know what's up with white gloss paint. It just has never turned out for me, and the reason is I don't know, it goes on thick, it seems, thicker than most paints. The nozzle of the spray can will clog up faster. Again, I don't know why. So like I won't even get through like a half a can of paint, and the white will be, the nozzle will clog up on me. I've tried to use paint thinner and everything else to try to get it out, but it doesn't work. But the main reason is it has like a yellowing effect. It's not like a pure white like this flat white turns out to be. So I don't know, I just like that better, and it's worked, and I use it a lot. So because a lot of cars have a white base color to it. So this is the back to this is the decal that comes with the decal set to wrap around the front, but you can see it's super long. Look at that. So I got to trim it down to size, and I think this is just a straight piece. I could trim it off one side, but I usually trim it off both sides. So I kind of just eyeball it. I don't mind it wrapping around the fender. Obviously I don't want to cut it short, but I don't mind it being a little long, and like I said, just it kind of wraps around inside the fender. I don't mind it doing that. Yeah, so that's good. It'll wrap it just a little bit, which is fine. Just kind of what I'm going after. This in the water here. So the way this comes, point this down just a little bit here. You can see the decals in the water. That's how I cut them up. I cut them up right to the edge. So let me cut this little express out. If you can see that. So I'm going to cut it along here. I'm going to go along here, all the way around like that. The goal is to have the least amount of decal that has no color to it showing. So like when I cut this out, and again, this is kind of just lessons learned here, right? You don't want to cut obviously into the decal image itself, but you want to cut as close as you can to that edge. You come here. So you see that? How I cut right along the edge of that thing? That's going to give me the best results right there when I go to use that. So that's kind of what I've done here with that. So let's get to putting some of these on here. I like to start, and I was kind of going through this just before I started the video. I like to start here, and I'm going to move this up because I notice sometimes when I decal, I have the car a little bit higher, like up here in the video, and that doesn't really help you guys. So down here would be better, kind of more in the picture, in the center of the picture. But this I don't know if it's kind of a dark orange actually, kind of a cross between orange, almost like a sunset color. This kind of wraps around here and it goes around here. It would be nice if it's all like straight, right, as it goes around. And as I was looking at it, I'm like, you know what? I can't. Let me start with this 17 on the side. And that'll be kind of my reference point as I put this on, and then I'll try to line up everything with this point. And this is a little long, so I'm going to tuck it in here. Sometimes it doesn't like to tuck. And this, tucking this front I want this back to line up, and it's not quite lined up just yet. Come on over just a little bit more. Okay. So once I get that on there, that looks pretty good. I kind of look, obviously I want this, to be straight across here to line up with these lines here. I also look at this distance here between the window, or actually this opening and the 7, the 1 and the 7, to see if it's straight across here. Just making sure that's straight. Get this tucked in here. This is kind of tucked in pretty nicely. Sometimes I have to use the micro sole, but I didn't have to use that in this case. The micro sole to soften it up and use that. All right, let me look at this piece here. So this kind of, it's going to be hard, but this kind of wraps around the back as well. And it's a little bit higher. You can see how this kind of comes and, like, I don't know, it's just a weird design, right? It comes back here, and then it almost like loops back this way and comes this way. So this is going to be a little bit higher. Get that to stick there. Sometimes you just got to hold it in place for a couple seconds, and then it'll comply. All right, a little bit higher. And I had looked at this before I started videoing, and the back here was kind of just straight, but you can see I kind of cut it at an angle because I knew it was going to wrap here. And that's going to be a trick, is trying to get this piece, it's right here actually, this piece here to line up with those on both sides. So that'll be fun. I'll do that later. Like I said, it's always fun doing Matt Kenseth schemes, especially these that are like super rare. I mean, this is a 2004 Busch Series. The only race that he drove this particular paint scheme, he had another Carbsmart yellow car at a different track that was a little bit different on the front. I think it said Carbsmart. This one says just one a day. And I don't know, it's just fun. It's just fun doing Kenseth cars, and yeah, this in general. Yeah, I was thinking the other day about, I don't know, just when I was a kid and how much fun I had with models. And, I really thank my parents, because I remember going, when I was a kid, like going into a store. I mean, I don't think they had Walmart back then. But just like a regular store, maybe a toy store, and they had like these plastic models. And it's funny, I wasn't into cars. I wasn't into cars at all. I was into, and this is when I was I'm trying to think. Was I 10 to maybe 15 years old, in that range? And I think probably even when I was older, even though I didn't tell my friends, my teenage friends probably make fun of me if they knew I was doing models when I was 16 or 17. But anyways, I remember going into a store and like looking at the model, and I was into World War II stuff. I mean, just World War II, tanks, ships, planes, anything I could get my hands on that was cool like that, Army, related. And, I confess I had an affinity to German stuff. I don't know why, but I just remember making those, and I remember going with my dad or my mom, and it would be like $10, $12, $15, $16 for a model. And I remember just looking at them like, please, could I get this? Please buy this for me, please. Whether it was my birthday or not, And every once in a while they would, not all the time, all right? They weren't trying to raise a brat who always got what they wanted. But every once in a while they would, buy me one, and and it was funny. I had so much fun just building it. Not necessarily playing with it, but just building it that was fun to me. That was the most fun to me. Having a car, or not a car, having a plane or a tank or a ship, painting the different pieces, gluing them together, following the instructions, all that stuff was just, I wasn't very good at it. I remember looking at some pieces, I had like glue everywhere, and it just was a mess because I always had too much glue and it would like ooze out and stuff. But I remember doing that as a kid. And it's funny, I look back now and I'm like, it kind of prepared me for this. It kind of got that mindset of just enjoying building something, even though I don't know, don't get me wrong, I think I do a good job on this stuff, but I honestly think anybody can do it. You put your mind to something, this is not hard. I'm not doing anything that's rocket science, right? This is pretty simple stuff. It's just having that attention to detail, having that desire, that eye for looking at something specific, and then just having the resources at your hands, the paints, the confidence to try and do something. I have the space here, obviously, to do that, and it's just a joy to me, and I credit it really to my parents. They were really nice to me. They didn't. I'm not sure they knew this, but they rarely bought me something that was like a finished product. Like I remember being into like Lincoln Logs and Legos and that kind of stuff. And oh boy, how much fun I had playing with those things, but really building those things. Like when I got a Lego set, oh man, it was so much fun just building it and running it into following the instructions and running into little problems and then trying to overcome. Hey, where's this piece? Where's that piece? Whatever. And it was just so much fun. And I kind of look at that today. I like my collection a lot. I like having cars in my collection, and but at the end of the day, I find the most joy in actually making these things. Because once it's done, it goes on a shelf, and sure, it's awesome to look at and to admire, and like, wow, look at this collection, But then you're on to the next car, and I don't know. I just find such satisfaction in building these things, and a lot of that goes to my parents. I mean, they didn't get me something that, I didn't actually have to put in the work to actually enjoy that gift, and I don't know. It's just kind of funny, and I don't know. Like I said, I enjoy doing this. This is my hobby. I've got. I'm not trying to, pat myself on the back, but I've got an electrical engineering degree, bachelor's degree in electrical engineering, and I've got a master's degree in systems engineering. I got that about 8 years ago. I got that, and that people say, hey, if you enjoy what you do, you never work a day in your life. I mean, I enjoy what I do. I do. But to me, this is fun. To me, this is fun. And it kind of gives me an escape, too, from my daily job, which is, kind of technical and everything. But this is just fun. To put things in my collection, and as well as put things in other people's collection, and to make something that is so rare. I don't know, it's just really fun to me. Really enjoy it. So here I am rambling on, but yeah, that's kind of my little bit more about myself. Okay, so I've got pretty much everything on the side. Let me get this Goodyear in place here. Alright. This is one of the problems with working a side and the front at the same time. It's a little challenging. Let's see. I think there's a top and a bottom to this. No, it looks like it's all the same. I thought maybe there's like a top edge. It's a little bit different than the bottom edge. But, yeah, that's too low. I gotta move this up. So I got that piece on the side first in place, and then I can move this into position so it's lined up there. Oh, you know what? It doesn't look like it's going to line up very well. Let me see. See, what I'm trying to do is get this to come across here. And I'm going to bring this up just a little bit, it looks like. A little bit higher. There's a ridge in the die cast. And I'm going to go, looks like I'm just going to go up above it a little bit. Pull this back and get in there. Hope you guys are doing well. Let's see. Okay, it looks pretty good. All right. Okay, let's get this grill on. Yeah, I remember when I was a kid, my favorite model was an American tank. It was like it was like a little diorama. It was an American tank, probably almost like a 124 scale, probably 132 scale. And also in that was a Stuka dive bomber, which of course was painted gray. And it was a little diorama set that had like a little base for the plane, so it was up high, and then the tank was underneath. Oh, I love that thing. Actually, you know what? I think my parents still have it in their house. That'd be funny if they did. If not, it's probably chucked. But I probably had that when I was like 15 years old. Oh, I love that thing. I loved making it, and then I loved just playing with it. For some reason, I love Stuka dive bombers. Actually, was it gray or was it green? I'm trying to remember. Might have been a dark green, but whatever. Yeah, it's funny. Did that when I was a kid, but now I'm doing this as an adult, and it's just a fun hobby. Lifelong hobby. Alright guys, I'm going to keep working this, and hope you enjoyed this video. God bless you, take care, and we will talk to you in the next video.